Geek Buddies fans, and welcome to another brand new episode here of Geeky Goodness from the
Geek
Buddies!
Hey!
That's good. He held that. I like that. We're going to get into so much here today. We're very happy to be back to talk about all kinds of things going on in the world of geekery, in the world of nerdery. We're going to talk about some new trailers. We're going to talk about some Daniel Radcliffe playing Weird Al. We're going to get into some Batgirl photos. And our main topic is going to be a breakdown and discussion over that Joss Whedon colossal misstep of a PR move for that interview he did for Vulture/New York Magazine that we will cover a little bit more in depth in our main topic. But first, let's introduce ourselves. I am the Outlaw John Rocha, writer, producer, and host on the Outlaw Nation and on the Geek Buddies. Mike.
I am Michael Vogel. I'm a writer and producer of animated TV shows and movies.
Shane.
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm an animation writer and a television actor, where you are seeing me coming from one of the last times from this. You might remember there used to be some geeky accoutrement back there, but this is one of my last days in this apartment because I am moving in with my fiance.
Oh,
moving on up
right,
to the east side. Actually, more to the west side, right? It's more west than you, like to the west
side.
It
is to the west and to the north.
Back and to the left. Back. To the left. Back. That's good to know. Good to know. But we're going to get into everything here. And for those of you who are new, thanks so much for watching us. For those of you, thanks so much for watching us. And this is how the show works. Each one of us picks a geek news item. We bring it up. We talk about it amongst ourselves. We'll do 3 of those. Take a quick break, and then we'll jump into our main topic. And for those of you who've been with us for a while now on the Geek Buddies train, thank you so much for staying on the train. Shannon, I think you're starting us off today.
With trailers. Nice. Today we're doing 3 streaming series, 3 very different 3. I imagine we're all excited for. We're going to start with Amazon Prime's The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. So we got our first footage of what this epic Amazon Prime series is going to look like. Very little in the way of footage, but you did get a sense of how aesthetically it does sort of connect to the other. Who's got some audio playing right now?
Go ahead. Yeah,
it's
go
not
ahead.
Me, is it? What is that?
Go ahead.
I know it's not me.
Yeah. Wait, can you guys hear that? Can you guys hear?
Oh, I totally heard that.
How about this? No? Okay, go ahead.
Nope, nothing.
By the way, what we all now know is that while Shannon and I do our Geek Buddies news, John is multitasking for his other podcast.
No, not true. Sometimes I'm rewatching a trailer as you guys are talking at a low volume, so I apologize that it's gone high volume. Go ahead.
You're like this the kid.
It's a new mixer. I don't know what I'm doing.
You're like the kid in the movie set in the 50s where you got the ham radio up your sleeve during class.
This is just like in college. This is just like in college where the system let me sign up for history of theater and general biology at the same time, and I just took both classes at the same time. That's what this is like.
Like straddling 2 classrooms. I love it. Sorry, go ahead.
So yes, first, very little footage from The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, but we actually got the title that it is called The Rings of Power. We hear the passage, which a lot of our audience will remember from the first Lord of the Rings movie, from Fellowship of the Ring, where they're talking about the different rings that the different races of Middle Earth got. I know it's not a lot, but gentlemen, what did you think of our first very small look at The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power?
I did a quick trailer reaction for it yesterday, but really announcement video reaction for it yesterday, because I thought we might get some footage, and we didn't. We just got a great voiceover, who I imagine is the new Galadriel or Galadriel adjacent character, and then seeing the ring. Now, listen, I know, people know, I'm not the biggest fan of the Lord of the Rings, but I do enjoy the world of J.R.R. Tolkien, even though I'm not a Hobbits fan. I am a Hobbit fan, and I do like the dwarves more.
Wait a minute. You're not a Hobbits fan, but you are a Hobbit fan?
Yeah, the Hobbit trilogy, I like. The Hobbits themselves irritate me, although Martin Freeman is the closest to a Hobbit that I would like in the Hobbit trilogy, which is why I enjoy the Hobbit trilogy a little bit more. Yes, I know, cantankerous and all of that, but still willing to do the job. But yeah, I liked it. It was great to be back into this world. I feel like from the energy I got from the announcement video is they understand the task and they are bringing the epicness back to this. Just the way they've described it in the voiceover and the words they use, and seeing the ring and the water and the mountains forming out of the clouds. It's just brilliant stuff, Mike.
Yeah. I'm excited. I think I like both Hobbits and Hobbit more than John does. But yeah, I mean, look, I think most people in general, it might not be like your favorite thing, but most people really like the Lord of the Rings movies. I mean, you know, Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, Return of the King, pretty fantastic movie-going experiences, maybe a little bit longer than you would like. You know, some people don't love 12 endings, but they're fun movies. They're really good. I think for a lot of us, that was like, you know, seeing fantasy put on the screen in that way kind of really, it meant a lot, and it was a lot of fun. The Hobbit movies maybe sort of dinged the world of Middle-earth a little bit. I think when you take a book that's about this thick and turn it into 3 movies, you are playing with fire, and they did not necessarily come out unscathed on those. But I kind of agree with John that this trailer, even though it's just an announcement trailer, kind of hits you right in the middle of your Middle-earth love. Like, it is, hey, this is the rings, this is big, this is epic, we're gonna tell a huge story. And I went back and rewatched the first 5 minutes of Fellowship, which kind of covers the same territory as this announcement trailer. And you really do realize, like, I'm not a super nerd when it comes to the world of Middle-earth. Like, I've read the books. I enjoy all the I enjoy most of the movies, but I don't know, like, the deep, deep lore of Middle-earth. So I don't know how much of this series is stuff that we all know or stuff that's going to be new. But definitely you do realize when you watch the first 5 minutes of Fellowship, like, they're like, hey, there was a bunch of rings. This many went to the elves, this many went to the dwarves, this many went to the humans, and then Sauron did some shit. And they kind of just get you through all that really quickly to get to what the movies are about, which is the one ring to rule them all. Yeah. So the idea of really delving into what it means to be giving these rings out, what it meant for the elves and the dwarves and the humans, how this whole thing came about, what these rings of power did, what they meant, what they did, like all of it, I think is really, really interesting. So even though it was just a simple announcement trailer, it definitely got me stoked.
Yeah, and I'm like you. I mean, I read all the books more than 20 years ago. Enjoyed the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Wasn't the biggest fan of the Hobbit trilogy, but because I don't have a ton of knowledge about everything sort of pre Bilbo, like, what did happen to the dwarves with their rings?
PB.
Is that
PB.
what it is?
Middle Earth. It is 22 PB.
And after Lord of the Rings, is that PF post Frodo?
Yeah, it's PF post Frodo.
Okay, yeah. PB and PF.
PB and PF. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like,
the official terms.
What happened to the dwarves with their rings? Like, I was like, well, I have no idea. I know the elves, it was like Galadriel and Hugo Weaving got 2 of them, and Lee Pace got one.
Of course, the elves. Of course, the elves.
Oh God.
You know,
why are you so mad about the elves? They're perfect.
Pretty and blonde. I guess that's the way to go through life. I guess. Go ahead. Yes, Ted.
Yeah.
Anywho, the Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power is going to come out September 2nd on Amazon Prime.
Before you move on from this, Shannon, real quick, the creators released a statement after the announcement trailer dropped. Want to get your thoughts on this. They confirmed that Sauron, I hope that's how you say it, is going to be in this in this show. So there were rumors that he was not going to be in this show. It was not going to deal with him, but he is going to be in this show. And I pronounced that correctly because someone pointed out I wasn't going to take you. I was taking you seriously until you mispronounced Sauron. I'm like, okay, all right. So what do you guys think about the fact that they are going to at least have that character in this series? And it's set during the second age of man, or the second
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's the one who made the rings,
yeah,
as far as I know. So I mean, that would make sense that we would meet him in some capacity. The fact that sounds like he's going to be the principal antagonist based off of that statement. That's cool because, Sauron, now you've got me all self-conscious.
Yeah, I know.
I'm saying it correct. Sauron, we know him as the giant eyeball on fire or the big suit of armor. So we never actually met him as a character cinematically. So I think that's very interesting.
Yeah, Mike, do you think it's a danger that this is a Death Star situation where they're bringing back another Sauron? Is it a danger here?
I don't think it's a Death Star situation because it's not like just doing the same thing over and over and over again. I think it is dangerous, but I think it's also the way you got to do it to be successful in today's day and age. I think that so many geek franchises are like just diving in and giving you the story you really want. I think the safer thing to do is to be like, ooh, we don't know a lot about Sauron before he was the giant butthole in the sky. Let's just be really careful. Let's have a different bad guy. Let's have somebody else. And then, you kind of do something that's kind of telling a story on the periphery, but you don't want to like dive in on it. But I think making him the big antagonist, really delving into who he was before he lost the ring and went and became, the Eye over Mordor, I think is the way to do it.
Okay.
But you gotta hope you do it right, because if you disappoint on a character like this that is one of the OG big bads of all of fantasy literature, if you fuck it up, you've really fucked it up. But if you nail it, it's a huge win.
Yeah, good point. All right, what's our next trailer, Shan?
This would be Our Flag Means Death. So this is from Taika Waititi and David Jenkins. David Jenkins created People of Earth on TBS, which was a very, very, very funny show. But this is essentially the story of Stede Bonnet. So Stede Bonnet was a real guy. Like, this is based on history, that he was sort of a spoiled English aristocrat who was born, I think, in Barbados, and decided one day that he wanted to take up piracy, possibly because he wanted to escape a bad marriage. So this guy who had no idea how to pirate buys a ship, names it the Revenge, and starts going up and down the coast of what is now the U.S. East Coast, trying to pirate as best he can. And because, again, he wasn't very good at it, he actually runs across Blackbeard and develops sort of a mentor / friendship with him. So we have Rhys Darby from Flight of the Conchords and Wrecked, playing Stede Bonnet. You've got Taika Waititi playing Blackbeard. You have a cast of just comedic heavy hitters like Leslie Jones, Fred Armisen, Christian Yearn, who played Hodor in Game of Thrones. Gonna be on HBO Max. I thought this looked incredibly funny. Gentlemen, what did you think of our first look at Our Flag Means Death?
Mike?
I think it's going to be great. I'm super excited for it. I will say that I don't think the trailer delivered necessarily on the laughs that I think the show will deliver on. I think that this trailer made me realize how much faith I have in Taika Waititi. like that I watched the trailer and I'm like, this is cute. It was perfectly cute. It was a fun trailer. Leslie Jones showing up and telling him he's an idiot that gave me a chuckle. But I mean, this isn't a trailer that had me like rolling off the couch laughing. It was like, okay, yeah, this is cute. I get what this is. But hearing Taika's voice at the end of that trailer and knowing that this is like a Taika Waititi thing, I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely watching this. Like, I think this will be great. Like, I think the show will be funnier than this trailer necessarily was. And so we'll see. But yes, I also knew about a little bit of the history, and I was like, this is definitely a great story to tell. Like, this idea of someone who's like, I'm going to be a pirate. Like, truth is stranger than fiction sometimes. And this is definitely something that Taika Waititi, it's right up his alley. So I'm in.
Yeah, this comes almost in the vein of Monty Python. I remember they did, some of them did Yellowbeard after they had kind of broken up there at the end of the 70s, for those of you who are old enough to remember. And so they kind of, piracy is always, the Brits love to play around with piracy. It's a big thing in their comedic thing. It's a big thing when they do dramatic stuff. But we know in the box office, and of course this is a streaming show, we know it doesn't always do well unless Johnny Depp is in it. So you've got to worry about how this will come across. I don't know how many people this is for. I really don't know how many people, because it's not broad enough to appeal to a wide swath of people, but I think it's going to be funny. It's going to be nice to see. Leslie Jones in a pirate outfit or in a dressed up there of the outfits of the time, I think is a great look and very funny. Rhys Darby, very fun. I mean, in Jumanji, he's hilarious in Jumanji. Yeah. So great to see him kind of lead something like that. And he's perfect casting for a character, as you two described, who I had never heard of, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, no, not at all. But I love the fact that this is a guy you pick and immediately think, oh, this is the kind of guy that would totally do this and would totally run off and get into all these adventures and what have you. So if nothing else, it's going to be a fun time with these characters and these actors. And I hope it works, but I'm with Michael. Like, I didn't laugh a lot through the trailer, and I was more like,
I just think it's funny. Like, it always it cracks me up that pirates were real. Like pirates feel like something that's like made up.
I love
like,
how you think it's in the past. I'm going to take you to Somalia and try
well,
to
okay,
go
like,
around,
I mean,
my
yes,
boy.
pirates still exist today, but well, I guess that's what it is. Like we sort of
The
have
plank
this,
walking pirate.
we sort of have this romanticized view of pirates that has been very informed by
Yes.
fiction and other things. So I think the idea of pirates and piracy and walking the plank and buried treasure and all this stuff, like, you know, it just feels so made up. And so when you do have a character like this that like really existed and you're like, wait, this dude was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hire a crew and I'm going to ravage the 7 seas. Like, you're like, I just can't believe it's real. That's really where I'm at on this.
A rich aristocrat deciding to change their life. I mean, at the time, I guess you could, because it was not cheap to be a pirate if you're going to just start from scratch. That's for sure.
Well, and again, if the stories are true and the whole reason he did it was because like, I really don't like my wife, I got to get out of here. Oh, I got it. I'll be a pirate. So that is coming out this March on HBO Max, and we get to the big trailer, which did drop last week, but I think we were all very excited to see it. Not only because we're excited to see this footage, but also we now have confirmation what the next MCU Disney Plus series is going to be. We get our first look at Oscar Isaac in Moon Knight. So I thought this was incredibly cool. Moon Knight is a character that I know very peripherally, but based off of the footage, it certainly has me excited. I'll throw it over to you guys first. What did you all think of our first look at Moon Knight?
Johnny, you take it because you know the most about Moon Knight out of the three of us.
Well, yeah, I mean, possible. I mean, all I know is I'm a massive fan, and I'm always getting his stuff when we used to go to Comic-Con, those Sunday shopping days there. I'd go all the way to the back of the Comic-Con there and buy stacks of those graphic novels all compiled to enjoy Moon Knight. He's just a character that's always spoke to me for whatever reason. The Egyptian connection, the idea that it's two different personalities living within the same person, the idea of having this dissociative identity disorder and how to figure that out. And some people pointed that out to me, so I want to clarify that. I said schizophrenia in my trailer reaction, but I should have said DID. That's what we're dealing with here. And the way they approach this is so brilliantly Marvel, right? The stakes are there. There's really something serious going on with this guy, but we're also going to have these comedic moments. We're essentially walking out onto a high wire to use this guy's condition, his mental health condition, as an occasional source of humor. So it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that. That being said, Khonshu showing up made me lose my damn mind. Seeing the actual outfit in usage, in form, him punching the dude, jumping across the building, all of it looked great. And having Oscar playing two different characters, having the British accent, which I haven't seen in quite some time from him, and just the overall feel of this thing, I think is great. And there's a lot that's being teased, and you can watch other people's Easter egg videos to see like what might be coming, what little things were appearing through the trailer that hinted at a darker, more interesting world. As we're going into the magic, as we're going into space, there's also this. And what is this? This is connected to the past. This is Egyptian stuff. This is God stuff. This is kind of Black Adam Shazam territory that is Marvel based. So interesting to see all of it being alluded to here. But I loved this trailer and loved the outfit. So yeah, what do you think, Mike?
I mean, I was super into this trailer. Yeah. And again, I don't know a ton about Moon Knight, so I'm actually really curious for any of our listeners who are like hardcore Moon Knight fans. Like, how did you guys feel about this trailer? Like, does this feel like it's going down the direction you want? Is it different from the Moon Knight that you know? Like, I'm actually really genuinely curious, so let us know. But couple things. One, the fact that we live in an era where we have a TV show, a superhero TV show with Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke in it, I'm just like, this is bonkers. Like, it's just, it is a wealth of riches. I think Oscar Isaac makes no real secret about it. I don't think he fully enjoyed his time as Poe Dameron in the Star Wars movies and the big franchise. But just based on this trailer, this looks like an acting challenge that really just like is right up his alley. Like, it looks like he's coming into the Marvel universe in a way that is much more of what Oscar Isaac would prefer than Poe Dameron, and definitely more than Apocalypse. So I think like Oscar Isaac it looks like he finally got his big studio franchise casting in the way that is good for him. I'm really curious about the tone of it. Like, I think that people who love Moon Knight are definitely looking forward to a darker side of the Marvel universe. This trailer, just given the tone of it, feels like it's darker, but the fact that it's the Marvel Universe and the fact that it's on Disney Plus, I'm really curious to see how dark it goes, how violent it goes, and is it going to be so dark and violent that people who are fans of the Marvel Universe feel like it doesn't fit, or is it going to be not dark and violent enough so hardcore Moon Knight fans are going to feel like it's watered down? Like, they're definitely walking a really fine line here, and the trailer hints at so many things that are exciting, and I'm curious to see if they really deliver on what is kind of promised in that trailer, like the creepiness and the weirdness. I hope it does. And just in general, I mean, you know, Eternals just came out in the past week on Disney Plus as well, and I was kind of rewatching that, and it really is between the Black Knight stuff, Blade coming along, now Moon Knight. I mean, you got to say they're not resting on their laurels. They're not just wash, rinsing, and repeating what they did in the first 3 phases. Like, we're getting into some weird stuff, and it'll be really interesting to see how this all weaves together and if they can pull off again what they did in those first 3 phases and really make all of this feel like it's of a piece.
Yeah. And kind of looking at again, not being a big Moon Knight reader, like looking at the costume, that all white, the cape, I was kind of like, how is this going to look on screen? And it looks really cool. I mean, you see the way he sort of turns into Moon Knight. You see the bandages almost sort of wrap around him. I was like, oh, that's really cool. And also speaking to the tone, like, this definitely does look very serious, but a lot of the panels that Moon Knight fans have been posting sort of in their excitement are really funny. So it's like, are we going to get to see this? I mean, it almost like a Deadpool like humor. I was like, I'm really curious if that's going to make it onto the screen in this first iteration. And also, this is the first time on a Disney Plus show that we're getting an origin story for somebody. So this is all very exciting.
Yeah, someone posted a panel of him and Punisher like taking ball busting to the worst level possible. And I remember that panel.
I saw that one.
It was like, how's your family? Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. How's the dissociative identity disorder thing going? Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's Deadpool, and this is what I've always liked about Moon Knight. It's humor, but it's really unsettling humor that you're like, I don't know, I should be laughing at this. And it's a challenging thing, kind of like Hellblazer at times. Certain panels of Hellblazer, I know it's a DC thing, but certain panels of Hellblazer, you're like, oh my God, what are we doing here? So, but yeah, exciting stuff. But of course, sad to report that one of the characters, Midnight Man, Gaspard Ulliel, the actor, sadly passed away in a skiing accident, 37 years old, I think a day or two ago as we're recording this. So just sad. And, obviously he's going to have a part. Obviously they finished shooting his part on the show, so we'll see what they do with that going forward. But yeah, and a lot of people speculating that Moon Knight is beating up Werewolf by Night there. That's who he's punching. So that could be interesting if that's where they introduce Werewolf by Night initially. And maybe we'll get, as Michael mentioned, Blade, and we'll get other characters that are kind of adjacent to Moon Knight kind of popping up throughout. I mean, Daredevil and Moon Knight is not out of the realm of possibility. So these kinds of things you can play around with for sure. And Punisher, not out of the realm of possibility, as we just mentioned from that panel. So we'll see.
And because the first episode drops March 30th,
very soon.
It's going to cross paths with Doctor Strange coming out the first weekend of May.
So, what do you guys think about this? They released the information that there's an R cut and a PG-13 cut of Doctor Strange, and they're waiting to get the R cut approved by Disney, or if they're going to go with the PG-13 cut, because it was also released that the Batman is officially PG-13, which is disappointing for me, but I understand why. It's just
because every Batman movie that's ever come out ever has been PG-13.
Yeah, but this doesn't look like they're going the PG-13 route. This looks pretty brutal.
When I saw those articles, it was like the Batman is PG-13 and everyone's going crazy, and I'm like, yeah, like all the Batman movies.
Fine. All right, let's move on. What do we have, Mike? Speaking of Batman, I think Mike's taking it away.
Yeah, well, also not R-rated, but we've got a lot of updates on Batgirl. I mean, not really updates so much as there's just been a lot of photos that have been leaked online, a lot of things that are being revealed. Nothing that's like spoiler worthy to the No Way Home level, so I think everything that's kind of been in the photos is more or less kind of fair game. It's kind of just confirming a lot of things that people already thought or knew. First and foremost, we've finally gotten a really good look at Leslie Grace in the costume, and it looks fantastic. I think most people are really, really feeling good about how it looks. Definitely harkening back to sort of like the comics update of Batgirl more recently, which does tie color-wise back to Batgirl's original 60s outfit. And I think it looks really, really neat. John has it up here for everyone to see if you're watching. But yeah, so everyone's feeling really good. The purple, the yellow, it's looking really neat. A lot of other things kind of being sort of teased and released as well in the photos that come out. We've gotten a little bit of a look at Brendan Fraser in his costume. And we've also seen a couple other kind of interesting things. Like we've seen her wearing a GCPD shirt. So people are wondering if this version of Barbara Gordon is working for the GCPD, if she's just wearing this because of Commissioner Gordon, what's going on there. There's a giant mural that's been released that's very clearly a Michael Keaton-esque Batman that also seems to have a Robin in the image. So people are really curious about that. And then there's a lot of Gotham Tatler magazine covers that are coming out that reference the Court of Owls, a circus performer that was recruited by the Court of Owls. We see Vicky Vale's name. We see mention of Lex Luthor in jail because of the bombing of the Capitol. So it seems that no matter what happens with Flashpoint, not everything from the Snyderverse is being completely erased. So a lot of really, really interesting things there. And then a lot of people are really excited because we've also seen Leslie Grace in photos with trans actress Ivory Aquino, which looks like she'll be playing Alicia Yeoh, who is a trans character that Gail Simone created in her Batgirl run. So a lot of information coming out that is getting people really, really stoked about Batgirl. A lot of people who are hardcore Batgirl fans seem to be really excited about the direction they're taking with that. And if you're curious as to where the DC universe is going post-Flashpoint, as far as how they are kind of bringing everything together, how Michael Keaton's character is being looped into this, a lot of little tidbits and hints and things to whet your appetite. So in general, I'll say, I don't usually cover the DC stuff because I'm usually the one who's being snarky on the side about DC stuff. But really, so far, everything about Batgirl has me really, really, really excited. I think Leslie Grace is a great actress. I thought she was amazing in the Heights. And I'm a big Barbara Gordon fan. I'm a big Gail Simone fan and her run on Batgirl. So everything that I'm seeing here, I'm getting super, super stoked about. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I thought all of the photos, I mean, everything looks really cool. And thus far, and correct me if I'm wrong here, this seems to be the biggest movie that Warner Brothers has made exclusively for HBO Max to this point. I mean, you look at this, just what the scale of the production. They're not cutting corners. At least that's what it appears from the stuff that we've seen. The costume, the first shot that I think Leslie Grace actually put out on Twitter, on Instagram, I did think, I'm like, oh, the color's a little bright. But that's the outfit. I mean, that's especially from the most recent run. And the fact that she's wearing those kind of yellow Doc Martin like boots, I was like, that is such a great detail. And there were some other behind the scenes photos that had her in the costume lit differently, and it was much more muted. So I'm kind of like, okay, great. Like, I think this looks like it could probably be incredibly cool, and it doesn't seem like they're skimping. Like, it's not like, oh, this is just an HBO Max movie. It looks like they're really putting some creative and some financial muscle behind it. So I think it looks very encouraging.
Yeah, I'm not as ingratiated in the world of Batgirl, so I'm gonna kind of follow y'all's leads and just give my opinion here, as rudimentary as it may be or limited as it may be. I like the look, and I like that they're hearkening back towards the current look and what Yvonne Craig did back in the 1960s. It has that vibe to it, so I like that it's a nice mix of both. So you're appealing to multiple generations here to enjoy this and come take a look at this and have some fun with it. Love Leslie Grace, as Michael pointed out, incredible actress, Latina actress. I mean, how many Latinos are now getting like center stage in these series, in these movies here from HBO Max and WB and DC? It's just so great to see finally, and excited to see what more we're going to get. But I like the look of this. There's shots of it that look, they're the places they're choosing to shoot, these like kind of tight alleys and these brick buildings in the snow and all of it, and the look of a very densely populated. I love that. It makes it feel very lived in. It makes it feel like you've got a world that you're operating in, that you're creating. And I love that vibe to it. overall. Dig the look, love the new characters we're getting, love the Brendan Fraser look as well. So all of it is working to get me excited to see what we're going to get. So I got a feeling we're heading towards a second golden age of enjoyment of these comic book characters and heroes as we go into the lesser, how can I say this correctly? The once we move past the standard A-list characters, now we're getting these other characters that have been building up for quite some time, getting a chance to shine, getting a chance to lead their own series. And I think that's exciting to see. And I think we're a lot of people who have had these characters kind of hidden away or stored away, or have this like group of people that love this character as much as they do, are now getting a chance to kind of express their fandom. Moon Knight, Batgirl, all these characters that are coming down the road. So all of it is just very, very exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm just honestly, I am so curious to see what where DC lands on everything. I mean, they clearly are going big into the Michael Keaton of it all. Like they're going big into the Michael Keaton of it all and sort of setting him up to be this new sort of Bat character that I think if they do it right could be huge for them. And I think, John, you're right. I think like taking like Jaime Reyes, taking Barbara Gordon, taking these new characters and letting them, the new Supergirl, like letting them really sort of lead the way into this new era of heroes for the DC universe. There's just a lot of potential. There's a lot of excitement, more excitement, I think. I mean, look, if you are a DC fan of the movies and you've been a DC fan of the movies, then you're excited. But I think that the stuff that they're doing right now is getting a lot of people who maybe have been a little bit put off by things in the past on board. And so I think that if they play their cards right, not only is there maybe, as you say, a new golden age of interest in these heroes and these newer heroes that are coming out, but I think DC might be stepping into an age where they finally make up some of the gaps between them and the MCU that a lot of people feel that there are.
Yeah, and we can thank the 4-hour Zack Snyder cut for kind of launching this. I think, Mike, I think you would agree with that, this new golden age.
Sure, that's totally what I meant.
Sure, that's a thing you said.
That's a thing that you said that I'm going to not take the bait on. This is great. So what else do we have going on in the world of geek news?
Well, do we have an idea what that's coming soon, right? Or coming in a little bit later on this year or next year? I think it's when it's coming. Is that correct? I think so. Yeah. Well, let's just move past that. All right. Never mind. All right. So let's move on to this last story here in our first block. And this is Entertainment Weekly has learned that Harry Potter alum Daniel Radcliffe has been cast as the lead in Weird Al Yankovic's upcoming biopic, Weird, the Al Yankovic Story. Wow. I'm sure he spent a lot of time coming up with that title. And it says here from the official release, the biopic holds nothing back, exploring every facet of Yankovic's life, from his meteoric rise to fame with early hits like Eat It and Like a Surgeon, to his torrid celebrity love affairs and famously depraved lifestyle. Weird, the Al Yankovic Story takes audiences on a truly unbelievable journey through Yankovic's life and career, from gifted child prodigy to the greatest musical legend of all the time. And one more thing, Yankovic said in a statement, when my last movie, UHF, came out in 1989, which I saw in the theaters, ladies and gentlemen, I made a solemn vow to my fans that I would release a major motion picture every 33 years like clockwork. I'm very happy to say we're on schedule and very thrilled that Daniel Radcliffe will be portraying me in the film. I have no doubt whatsoever that this is the role future generations will remember him for. Eric Apple and Yankovic are co-writing this, with Eric Apple directing it, and production begins in February in LA. Mike and Shannon, thoughts on this? Who knew that it was, I mean, like, Radcliffe is such an out-of-the-box choice and an interesting choice that immediately gives this biopic just a little more credibility, a little more esteem, for lack of a better term here, than if you just cast some comedian to play him. What do you guys think about this?
It's if you ever said who should play Weird Al in a movie,
yeah,
I would never in a million years think of Daniel Radcliffe. But then you look at the photos of Daniel Radcliffe next to Weird Al, and you're like, this is great. Like, this makes sense. Like, I don't know. I mean, Harry Potter playing Weird Al is not a sentence that I ever thought I would utter, but I am in. I'm in for it.
Yeah.
I also saw UHF in theaters and was a big fan of that movie. Was a big fan of Weird Al when I was a little kid. And hey, Weird Al was in My Little Pony. He played Cheese Sandwich. We basically made a pony character that was literally Weird Al. Yeah. So I'm definitely on board. I'm in to see Daniel Radcliffe take on the role of Cheese Sandwich, aka Weird Al Yankovic. I'm in. I love it.
I mean, Shannon, look at this. This is, I mean, is this? I mean, Weird Al is getting the nice end of the stick. Let me just say that right now, because Radcliffe considerably better looking than Weird Al. But that being said, this is a great challenge for him. You're an actor, Shannon. I mean, this is a great challenge to take on this. And dare we believe that this will have a little more gravitas than we anticipate to have someone like Daniel Radcliffe take on this story?
I think they are going purely for the laughs, because when I first read that, I'm like, I don't think I've ever heard Daniel Radcliffe do an American accent. And part of me is like, I hope he doesn't use an American accent. I hope he just plays in English, because everything, just from the quotes, everything is so tongue in cheek and so in on the joke. It's like, yes, make this as wonky and as weird as possible. Absolutely, Harry Potter should be playing Weird Al. And Eric Apple, the guy who's directing it, I mean, he's directed a lot of funny television. Like he was one of the guys who directed, Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Son of Zorn. I don't know if you guys remember that show where Jason Sudeikis played a sort of Thundar the Barbarian type character, like really off kilter, some very, very funny moments. I'm absolutely curious. And the fact that I think they're making it for Roku.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very specific platform to release something on. So I'm incredibly curious how this is going to be.
Yeah, I don't think gravitas is in the mission statement for this movie.
All right, I'm just saying, you never know. I mean, Weird Al must have had some kind of issues growing up as a kid. Well, are we going to explore that? Are we going to see any of that? I just wonder him coming up with these things. Plus, remember, Coolio wanted to kill this guy, man. Don't forget when he did Amish Paradise, Coolio was not kidding. He wanted a piece of Weird Al Yankovic's butt because Weird Al had gone to the people who owned the song, the studio, and asked for permission. He didn't go to Coolio first, and that caused apparently a lot of issues between him and Coolio, which they've since squashed. But at the time, I remember reading that Coolio was looking for this guy for making fun of the song. And Weird Al was like, I'm sorry. I don't, so I think it would be funny to throw that in.
He's hanging out at accordion shops looking for Weird Al.
Well, the excitement comes, who's going to play Michael Jackson? They're going to have a scene. Who's going to play Madonna? Who's going to play these people that he's making fun of? Is there going to be a Nirvana thing? Because I'll tell you right now, his parody of Smells Like Teen Spirit is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. The video itself is so perfectly done. And also his 8 to 9 minute American Pie opus about the prequels is phenomenal. Are we going to have a George Lucas cameo with Weird Al?
Maybe they just go full Harry Potter cast. Just bring the whole cast over. I want everybody. I want Emma Watson as Madonna. I want all of it. I want all of it. Like, I'm in.
Oh, I'm down. Rupert Grint is Ed. What's his name? The singer that's out nowadays.
Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran. Yeah.
Oh man.
But I mean, this immediately gets you excited. It's Daniel Radcliffe, so why not? This looks like a lot of fun. So they start shooting in February in Los Angeles. We'll see when we get a first trailer for this one. I imagine this is going to be done pretty quickly. I imagine.
You know what I love about Daniel Radcliffe? Just as an aside, I was talking to somebody about the Harry Potter reunion. I'm sure that he made enough money to live the rest of his life doing. I mean, he's Harry Potter, but he just seems like he is just picking whatever the fuck he wants. Yeah. There's no rhyme or reason. He's like, this seems cool. Let's do this. And they're like, you know what? That's a great way to live.
Yeah. Why not?
Good job, Harry.
Good job, Harry. Yeah. Good job, Harry. Yeah. As long as you didn't become a pirate, that's a good thing, Harry. That's a good thing. You chose another thing to do with your life. That's for sure. All right. We're going to take a quick break. But before we do, just want to remind you all that Carbon Health powers and sponsors the Outlaw Nation and the Geek Buddies here. We're very excited that they're continuing their sponsorship of us here into the new year. Thank you very much. And for those of you who are interested, Carbon Health is a national healthcare provider that provides healthcare for everybody. The virtual care, there are clinics you can go visit. Go to carbonhealth.com and go take a look. They've done tests. They're doing testing now for COVID. If you're going overseas, they're doing testing for that as well. They provide so many services that you need in your life. And if you just go to carbonhealth.com, you can see if there's one near you or a place you can go virtually and have an appointment with them and have them take a look at you guys. It's a good thing, I think, in this world. Yes. Okay, thanks. All right. Yes. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, here we go. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get into our main topic and discuss this Joss Whedon interview right after this.
Wasn't sure if there was a song.
A Weird Al song? Does it come to your mind?
I like, you know what? I like the whole, like, we're going to talk about the Joss Whedon, and then just Shannon is silent.
Just utter silence.
I don't want to make light of anything. Generally, the song is funny, or that's the aim.
I'm playing with this mixer. Can you guys hear any of the sound cues?
I mean, we heard the cell phone ring. Oh, there you go. I heard that.
Yeah. Did you do applause a second ago?
Joss Whedon interview. All right. I did do applause.
Glad that all of our listeners are just riding with us on this. John is playing with his new toy ride. It's great.
Do you have a phone ringing on there? Because I heard that as well.
I think. There we go. Joss Whedon interview. All right, let's get into it here.
You've gone full shock jock now, Johnny.
This is why I got it, because I want to start incorporating sounds into all the shows. So
Johnny was meant to be a DJ in the 80s. That's really what we learned
today. Take us away, Shadow Stevens.
K-Rock 97. Anyway, all right, let's get into this thing there before we get. It's good to have a little laughs before we get into something serious. That's for damn sure. So this happened. This broke. On Monday morning, I think. Joss on MLK Day of all fucking days. This interview broke from Vulture New York Magazine writer Lila Shapiro. She's also an editor over there, and she interviewed Joss Whedon over 2 days, 2 separate interviews, talking about all the accusations, getting his 2 cents on all the things that have happened to him, and then delving into his past, delving into his life, hearing about his upbringing, hearing about his relationship with his mother, his relationship with women growing up, his relationship with on the sets, and all the things, and then getting interviews with other people who've been on the sets with him, other actors, other collaborators who've been with him. This was an incredibly extensive interview, deep interview with a lot of work done here by Liza to get to the point of everything and give you incredible amount of context for the things that he is saying. I broke this thing down over an hour and 45 minutes on a video on Monday and went paragraph by paragraph through this. But gentlemen, there is so much to parse out here. His accusations that Gal Gadot misunderstood him because English is not her first language, which is phenomenally offensive to anyone who's an immigrant to this country or has friends or family who are immigrants to this country. Accused Ray Fisher of being a bad actor as a talent, but also as a person. And then went after and claimed the Michelle Trachtenberg stuff. He had no idea what they're talking about. The Charisma Carpenter stuff. He said, I have no idea what she's talking about. It's phenomenal what he did here. And Michael, I'll go to you first. I mean, you've worked in studios, you've worked with actors, both good and bad. And I'm sure this is something, if you're a PR person or if you're a studio and you're looking at this and you're going, I don't think I could ever work with this idiot again. What did you think about this?
I am baffled as to why he thought this was a good idea.
Yeah.
Now I think that the broad concept of I am going to do this big high profile interview because I've been doing work on myself and I'm going to face these allegations and I'm going to talk about what happened, theoretically is what someone in his position should do at some point.
Right.
But if you're going to do that, using the strategy, I think what every person said about me is wrong, I'm the maligned party, is not a good idea. Like, it's just to go through this whole thing, to have this whole interview come out where you have all these people, multiple people over multiple shows, over multiple years, all telling stories that all more or less corroborate a system of behavior that seems pretty consistent. and saying, I didn't do that. That they misunderstood. Yeah, she doesn't speak English so good. What? No, I was never that way. Yeah, no, I did sleep with a lot of people because I couldn't control myself.
Yeah.
Because of my therapy and because of how my relationship with my mom. But other than that, like, I don't know what everyone's talking about. Like, I'm a nice guy. And to end it being like, I think I'm one of the nicest showrunners ever. It was like, if you wanted to have an illustration of what a white cisgender tone deaf person in 2022 looks like, this article is a masterclass.
Yeah.
It was shocking in his complete lack of self-awareness.
Yeah. Right. For a guy who's claiming to be in therapy, Shannon, Lila got Joss to kind of open up about his process, but he seems completely unaware of what the point of therapy is, which is to kind of explore why you feel the way you feel, take responsibility for the things that you have been taken a part in, and forgive. And it seems like this is not the right time for him to have done this interview at all, because he seems very raw, defensive, angry even at times. And I do want to be fair here for him a little bit and get your thoughts on this also as well, Shannon. Like, he's not the only showrunner who's pulled this nonsense, right? Through Hollywood since the beginning, I'm sure there are showrunners who have done some pretty offensive stuff, and maybe even some showrunners that we love and revere over the years have done stuff on shows that we love and revere. So as much as terrible as this is, he's not an isolated case. So what did you think about all of this and just his responses to these questions?
I mean, part of it, because he's still repped, like he still has representation. He's with CAA, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest and most powerful talent agency in Hollywood. Who thought that this was a good idea? Like, I can't imagine running this by his agents, by his publicist, and them saying, okay, yeah, like,
right.
Because you figure the amount of money he has probably spent on therapy in the attempt to better himself and to reconcile with the actions of his past. I mean, it doesn't seem like he's done that much, because the whole idea, I mean, and even before the truly terrible shit that he did, I mean, the way that he would allegedly talk to his staff and bring up and critique a script by a writer whose work he was not satisfied with. I can tell, like, I don't have a ton of experience with this, but my experience with head writers, and I have been very, very lucky that one of them is Mr. Vogel and another friend of ours.
I'm a straight asshole.
Well,
I'm a straight up asshole.
And you do it, but you do it in private. You're an asshole in private.
Blink twice, Shannon, if you're in trouble.
The fact that the aim, it seems like the objective to that was to embarrass the person. Yes. And that's not the way you get good work out of people. I mean, at least in my experience. And the one incident with the costumer where the costumer said he grabbed her, and like he physically grabbed her, and he's just like, oh, I don't remember that. Someone like him wouldn't remember that.
Oh, wait, no, he didn't remember that, Shannon. He said, there's no way I did it. I've never put my hands on a woman. That's what he said.
Right. But think about the point of view of that like, I fully believe that costumer.
Yeah.
That he did that, because something like that, a memory like that is burned into your psyche. Like, that's something she'll never forget. And it's easy for him, as a person who was juggling so many things, is like, no, I didn't do that. Like, he wouldn't remember that. He wouldn't regard it like, no, I didn't do that. It was just shocking to think that he had this much time to sort of come up with what he was going to say, and this was the result.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, sort of to John's point, like, to be as fair as one should be to Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Look, it seems, and again, we don't know. I don't know Joss Whedon. I'm just going by what I read in this article. It seems like he's in a more healthy relationship now than he was in before with his current with the woman he's currently married to. Like, it's based on what he said, based on what was said in the interview about where he was in relationships, what he was dealing with. And maybe that is a big part of his therapy. Like just because we read an article that said that basically is like, you feel like it's really tone deaf and you're not taking responsibility for all of the things that people are saying you've done. Yeah. Maybe in his personal life, he has made some big breakthroughs. I don't really know. Right. And so if he has, that is great for him. Like that is wonderful because clearly he had a track record of cheating and the way he treated women and the way he broke up with women. I mean, it was pretty well documented in the article. So if he's in a better place now, great. To Shannon's point, look, I agree with Shannon that I think, berating people is not the best way to get work out of them, but there are very brilliant, very talented people in the creative entertainment industry that are assholes. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they're assholes because they have the way that they want something to be and they're very specific about what they want and they treat everyone around them shitty and yell and scream and say dumb shit because they are so specific. And although we might hate that behavior, we like the end result. And despite everything we think about Joss Whedon now, and despite everyone's opinions about Justice League, look, between Buffy and Firefly and all the things he did, like there was a time where Joss Whedon doing something was like, oh, this is going to be great. Like he was and is a talented creative person who is seemingly very flawed in other ways. So even like, and I think my whole point in this on the whole is that any one of these things, you're sort of like, well, this is someone who's got some demons, they're dealing with it. Somebody who is an amazing creative person who has infidelity issues in their personal life, okay. A showrunner who berates people and treats people kind of shitty, sucks, don't like that person, but wow, that is a great show. The end result speaks for itself. Okay, not really great, but like that is a thing that exists in our industry. Like any one of these issues, you're kind of like, okay, well, that's a thing. They should take responsibility for that. They should move on. The issue with Joss Whedon specifically, to me, is that here is somebody that, because of the characters he created, because of the shows that he's most well known for, sort of was held up by geek fans and by himself as this paragon of feminism, of girl power, of all of these things, who then was not acting that way in real life and seemingly treating people shitty, and then continuing to do it, and then coming on to a set like Justice League, treating all of the actors like shit, saying what he said to Gal Gadot, and then first of all saying what he said, period, which is, I'm not good, I'll ruin your career or whatever it is that he says he didn't say, but other people in his past are like, oh, he said basically the same thing to me. Yeah. And then when questioned about it, saying, well, she doesn't speak English that well, so she probably misunderstood me, which is just, it's an excuse. Mm-hmm. It's an offensive excuse. It's a demeaning excuse. Right. Like even in him trying to excuse his past behavior, he falls right into a pattern of being an asshole currently as he's actually apologizing, which is pretty impressive. Yeah. So it's just like any one of the things about his life and his past and the things he's been accused of and the things people have said about him, you could almost be like, well, okay, he has to deal with that. And he's got to deal with that and he has to like accept that. But here's the other things that are positives. The issue with Joss Whedon is the positives are almost gone and every part of his life seems like a negative right now.
Yeah. And Mike, you bring up an excellent point here. And it seems like people are retroactively looking back at his positives and picking them apart. So they don't even feel as positive as they did at one point, including Buffy. I mean, they've gone back to look at those later seasons and it's in the article how he treats the lesbian storyline, how he treats certain characters and what have you. So you see them poking holes in it. Dollhouse, poking holes in Dollhouse, poking holes in Angel with how things went with Charisma Carpenter. So you start to look back and go, wow, if even your positives are being ripped apart now in retrospect, that there is no positives left. Really, the balance starts to become much more in the favor of the negatives than the positives, which is unfortunate. It's unfortunate because it sounds like this is a guy who's very upset about it, doesn't accept his fault in it, and feels like everyone else is creating these narratives about him that aren't true. And I'm just like, this is, dude, from a human level, like you've got to take a look at this and address it and do better. You have to do better. This is part of the process. And I just wonder what the end desire was that he was going to, because you put your hands in a writer's pen, you're essentially asking for them to dictate the narrative of your life. So you want to come off in a certain way. If you're really trying to get back in the good graces of Hollywood, it's real easy. Simple. I made some mistakes here. I clearly have some blind spots that I'm working on. I apologize to anyone who's offended by the things that I did or said in the past. I'm working on myself, and I hope to get another chance in the future to show what I can do again and have a better, healthier set that leaves good memories instead of bad memories, and maybe do that before I leave this earth. Boom. People would fucking fall over themselves because people naturally want to forgive, especially the large swaths of fans that he still has.
Well, I mean, I think you bring up a good point. I think as we get into, and this definitely falls into that category, you know, when everybody online and on Twitter starts battling it out about cancel culture. Yeah. Oh, well, now Joss Whedon is canceled. Is J.K. Rowling canceled? Is Dave Chappelle canceled? Oh, this canceled, that canceled. Like, I think you've kind of hit on it, which is most of the time when fans of any of these people get really, really upset, it's not like there's a bloodlust to go cancel as many people as possible. Usually when you get upset, it's because someone who you respected for a long time or someone who created something that meant a lot to you does something that feels completely the opposite of who that person is supposed to be, that really makes you feel betrayed. Yeah. It really makes you struggle with the thing that you love, that for a lot of people is a big part of your identity. Like that, you know, for a lot of people growing up, Buffy was a huge part. Firefly was a huge part of your identity. Similar for J.K. Rowling with Harry Potter. And I think that it is so well, you're wrong. This person is wrong. This person is wrong. This person is wrong. This person is wrong. At a certain point, if multiple people are telling you that you're wrong for the exact same thing, you should probably listen. And I think that's really what this boils down to is it just seems like he's not, this whole article, if you were going to sum it up into one sentence, was Joss Whedon's not listening.
Great point. Four words that totally absolutely nail it. Shannon, thoughts on this? Any more thoughts? Follow up on what Mike and I said?
I mean, really, it's just sort of getting down to like the minutia of the article, like specifically thinking about the Justice League situation, knowing what he was walking into, knowing the sort of creative minefield that the production had been at that point, going in with your cast, who you are going to be working very closely with for a set amount of time, immediately setting up us versus them dynamic is the exact wrong thing to do. Because these people have already been through the wars. Everybody is trying to achieve the same goal. And again, the quote was earlier, but it was basically him. I think it was Ray Fisher. He had said, like, it feels like I'm getting notes right now. I don't take notes, not even from Robert Downey Jr. It's just like, man, like there's a way to handle this, and that is not that. There is a way to listen to a performer's concerns and address them. And it's sort of that situation where someone is they stop being told no. Because and then that's what they expect. I mean, they talk about that, how when he first started on Buffy, how the crew, whoever would hold the door for him. And at first it became a joke because he would kind of dance through or whatever. And then by the end he got used to it and ran into a door at one point because he got so used to just being told yes, 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 yes. And it's, I mean, it's the whole thing. The acting thing was really frustrating. The writing thing enraged me because because again,
just a quick example, him putting notes in public in the writer's room to call out a specific writer in front of all the writers.
I mean, the last person generally who touches a script is your head writer or your showrunner. And you know, Mike has told me stories like sometimes the assigned writer can get so far, and if it's like, okay, things have changed, at the end of the day, Mike's the one who's going to have to do all the work. Right. And it might be annoying, but that's your job. Like, that's what you have to get done, to then go and sort of attack the person. Like, that does nothing other than just, okay, you're mean and you want to take it out on somebody.
Right.
And that is just, and as you said already, John, Joss Whedon is not the only one who's guilty of this. Like there have been a number of people who have been sort of monsters behind the scenes. And you hope that we're moving past that.
It feels like we are. And I think this is something that, and I don't know, you guys are, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but like Steve and I doing the Cinephiles, we sometimes have to go back and talk about the uncomfortable stuff that has come out about some of these filmmakers and some of their treatment of actors on sets. And we have to kind of balance between, we have to kind of strike that balance, talking about the movie and respecting the movie, but also kind of calling out the creator, the director, the producer, the actor for their behavior while they were making the movie towards other people. So it's that balance you have to strike. And more often than not, we find ourselves having to kind of be uncomfortable or be upset about it or be unhappy that we have to do this because we find out this stuff about these people. And I think that is changing. I think as more and more people are speaking out, we just had someone speak out. God, I wish I could remember the show they're speaking out where they changed showrunners. Oh, for Woke, the Hulu show with Lamorne Morris. It came out that one of these writers who left the show spoke about how they were being told who they could make fun of and they could not make fun of, and all this kind of stuff. So you're seeing it happen all over the place. That even now, more people are speaking out. So more of these writers who used to be afraid that they wouldn't get staffed again are speaking out, and actors are speaking out to call this kind of behavior out, whether in a small way or in a large way, that affects the overall vibe and the mood and the toxicity on the set. And I think that's an important thing that more people are doing and should be encouraged to do more and more.
I think that is true. I think it is happening more and more. I think the challenge has been, is, and will continue to be that even though I would love it if the most talented people were also the nicest people, because that's the way the world should work.
Right, the Tom Hanksing.
It is not actually always the case. Sometimes the nicest showrunners are not the ones that are going to give you the best show, and sometimes the assholes really are brilliant, which is why they're assholes. And that is not to say that I excuse any of the behavior. And I think the fact that it is being called out more, and that it's not being seen as to be as acceptable as people used to just take it as that's how it is, I think it is important, and I think it's good that we have those conversations. I think the challenge will always continue to be that sometimes there's assholes that are really, really brilliant.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to continue to be the struggle. And I think that's the struggle that we as fans have, is when the person that created the thing that you love is an asshole.
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't know how to feel anymore. I mean, this is a thing that fandoms are dealing with more and more regularly as to John's point, these things are called out more. And I think it's a thing that we continue to struggle with. So maybe like being optimistic about it, maybe this will train people that they can't treat people shitty, and that you might be an asshole in your real life, you might be an asshole at home, but you've got to stop being such an asshole in the room. I don't know if it will or not. I know plenty of assholes that are still working and doing shows that we all love. So it's like, it's hard to say, but I hope it changes.
Yeah. I mean, this whole idea that the creative person is the mountain or the Mecca, and we must go to the Mecca, and as opposed to the Mecca kind of meeting us halfway, or the mountain meeting us halfway. I think that's what eventually, because I'm at that age now where like, I don't ever want to see another asshole showrunner, asshole director, male or female, because there've been also stories that have come out, Ellen, about asshole females in charge of certain situations as well. Either way, I don't want it. So I'd rather sacrifice the next groundbreaking show in exchange for having a more healthy, toxic-free set and atmosphere and environment. I'd rather have that, to be honest with you, going forward. And the truth is, Hollywood's not full of a lot of mentally well-adjusted people, normal people. So it's a smashing together of a lot of either mental health or unaddressed issues or desire to be liked or arrogance about their talent because mommy and daddy always stroke them. It's all of that smashing together in a cauldron. So unfortunately, you're going to have these asshole showrunners, as Michael pointed out, who are creating fantastic work and are being validated for their behavior because the results validate their behavior, therefore not needing to change in their minds.
Well, and I think like a big difference now, and for better or for worse, because you could argue this either way, but in a way, social media is kind of the great equalizer. I think kind of to your point, like, I think for a lot of staff writers, production people, whoever, there was no outlet to tell your side of the story. And there's definitely still a fear that if you go to Twitter and say, hey, let me tell you why Aaron Sorkin is a piece of shit or whatever, that you could be blacklisted and you could be like, you're not going to be worked anymore. But the fear works both ways. Like I think like there's now the reality of if you treat someone super shitty, they can go right to social media and be like, let me tell you what happened. And if that gets picked up, you see what happens. And like, so that is dangerous in its own way, but it also is a great equalizer. And I think that's what we're seeing, is that we are seeing more and more of these things come out. And I think to John's point, that is why some behaviors are changing, because they have to. And so as long as social media is what it is, for better and for worse, it's going to continue to sort of equalize this to a degree.
Yeah. Also, if you are collaborating with a person who is black or a person of color, telling them you don't want to take their notes about their experience, that's the dumb motherfucking way to go about it. Just letting you know. It's a stupid, arrogant way to go about it.
It is. I mean, I will say, I think that the whole Ray Fisher of it all, I mean, I will say, I know we're pretty much wrapping up, but I do think it's interesting because take everything else about Joss Whedon out of it. Zack Snyder was clearly a very collaborative director that encouraged his actors to bring themselves to the role, wanted to get their feedback, clearly worked really closely with Ray Fisher on crafting the Cyborg storyline. The fact that Joss Whedon is not a collaborative director and wants people to just like say the lines that he wrote, in and of itself is not worthy of you're the worst person in the world.
Fair enough.
Certain directors are always like Aaron Sorkin is very famously like that. That like this is what I wrote. There is a Sorkin way of doing things. You need to say this exactly, no matter who you are. Jeff Bridges talks about that. So I think that the fact that he came in and said, look, whatever Zack Snyder said, like I'm doing this movie right now, and this is what I'm doing with this role, sucks for Ray Fisher, but in and of itself is not the worst thing in the world. Add into that the way he treated the actors, the fact that Ray Fisher's specific concerns were, this is the only black character in the movie. Like at a certain point, their Joss Whedon should have, as arrogant or as specific as he might have wanted to be, I think he should have listened to some of that. I do think it was dumb. I do think it was arrogant. But I just want to be really clear that like I don't think that you can't really say that like just because you're not collaborative with your actors, you're a shitty person. Like there are plenty of directors who aren't. But I do think that, again, and it's what I said about this article in total, like take any single piece of Joss Whedon's many well-documented issues at this point, and it's not good, but it's not, well, you're done. But all of these things piled together in one giant article where he just doesn't listen to anybody, that's really, it's the sum total that's the problem.
Yeah, fair. Shannon, any final word?
No, I think Vogel hit the nail on the head. Sometimes when you're hired as an actor, you're hired as an actor. If the director says this is what I want you to do, that's your job. But when you look at sort of the sum of all the parts, that's where the issue comes in.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll see what happens going forward with Joss Whedon for sure. Let's end on a happier note. Ladies and gentlemen, not only are these two people geek buddies, they're also people who write and showrun animated series. And my friends Michael Vogel, Shannon McClung, Michael Vogel nominated for a GLAAD award. Michael, for Strawberry Shortcake, please talk about this.
Yeah, big surprise. GLAAD came out with, I think, their 33rd annual media awards that kind of represent representation and diversity and acceptance in media programming. And Strawberry Shortcake, Berry in the Big City, currently found on YouTube, was nominated for, I believe it's outstanding children's programming. So it was a really nice surprise. It was really great. Really happy that Strawberry Shortcake is more than just an 80s brand and is rocking some representation in Big Apple City. So it was really, really great. Some really awesome other people in that category. If I would obviously vote for myself, but I will say that the Muppet Babies Gonzarella episode, where Gonzo wears a dress to the ball because he really wants to wear a dress, is some stiff competition. So I'm really, I think Matt Danner and the Muppet Babies team might have it in that one. But it was great, and it was really exciting and a lot of fun. And I'm happy that Strawberry Shortcake is just chugging along and baking the world a better place, one cupcake at a time. What can I say?
All right. Well, there you go. All right. Well, thanks so much for watching this episode of Geek Buddies, everybody. We appreciate it madly. Shannon, what do we have to tell them?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media, on Twitter, it's @geek_buddies, on Instagram at @the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's @Shannon_McClung, on Instagram at Shannon Geek Buddy. If you would like to follow GLAAD Award nominated Michael Vogel, it is @MKToon. If you would like to follow Mr. Rocha, it is @The Rocha Says.
Mikey?
Unlike Joss Whedon, we like listening to you. And we like hearing what you have to say about Geek Buddies. So if you are enjoying everything that we are doing, here's a couple things that you can do for us. Hit that like button below and subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page so that you can find all the amazing geek content and other content that he has going on as he talks about anything and everything that strikes his fancy. Leave your comments below and let us know what you thought of everything. What did you think of the Joss Whedon article? Did you read the whole thing? It is very long. Batgirl, the trailers, Moon Knight, Daniel Radcliffe, Weird Al. Let us know your thoughts on all of it below. If you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, take a second and leave us some stars and some comments. It helps us go up in the rankings. And as always, the best thing that you guys can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, and tell everybody that they should come hang out with these two gentlemen and myself, your Geek Buddies.
There you go. And once again, we want to thank Carbon Health for powering and sponsoring the Geek Buddies show. Thank you so much. You can go to carbonhealth.com, see all the multiple places that you can get checked out or get taken a look at. And don't have to be there personally. They do a lot of virtual care. They've got a bunch of clinics all over the country there. So go to carbonhealth.com. They totally believe in healthcare for everybody and coming up with a healthcare plan that is unique to you. They got 3 pillars of healthcare, and they are some strong pillars that you can use in your life. So go to healthcare.com and see how they can help you today live a better, healthier life so you can hang around longer to be a Geek Buddy with the 3 of us. Yeah? All right. There we go. All right. Thanks, everybody, so much. We'll talk to you next time. Don't forget our reviews coming up for Boba Fett later on this week, and we'll talk to you next time with another
Boba Fett? Boba Fett where?
The book of...
Just kidding. Sorry.
Freaked me out that I thought I said the wrong thing there. All right, take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode from the
Geek
Buddies.